Have you ever wondered what really happens inside a narcissist's mind when you finally walk away? When you stop chasing, stop reacting, and stop looking back. They pretend not to care. They act cold and detached. But inside, there's a storm raging, a spiral of chaos they never wanted you to see. Because the truth is, you were the supply they thought they'd never lose. And when you chose yourself over their control, you shattered their greatest illusion, that they were untouchable, and you'd always come back. In today's video, we're going deep into the twisted emotions and conflicting reactions narcissists experience when you finally leave. From denial and panic to manipulation, rage and obsession, the truth is never what they show on the surface. And if you've ever believed they feel nothing when you disappear, stick around, because your silence is the one sound they fear the most. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any content on narcissistic abuse recovery. This is your journey to understanding and finally breaking free. 1. Stage 1. Denial. You'll come back, right? When you finally decide to walk away from a narcissist, they don't see it as the end. In their mind, it's just another temporary outburst, a familiar performance. They believe you'll be back, just like always, and so begins the stage of denial. The narcissist doesn't truly believe you're gone, because in their distorted belief system, you're not a person, you're a possession, a reflection of their ego. And your decision to leave isn't just a breakup, it's the ultimate insult to their inflated, fragile sense of self. They tell themselves, she'll come back. He's just being dramatic. This is just another attention game. So they do nothing. They wait, not out of respect for your decision, but to play a role. The role of the one who doesn't need you, the one who always wins. On the outside, they look calm, but inside, they're unraveling. Denial is not strength, it's silent panic, because if they admit you're really gone, they have to admit they've lost control, and for a narcissist, losing control feels like death. At this stage, they may try to casually reach out. A random text, "Hey, I found your shirt," suddenly showing up where you used to hang out, asking mutual friends how you're doing, all of it designed to test your reaction, to see if they still own emotional real estate in your mind. And if you don't respond, if you stay silent, hold your boundaries, and don't look back, that's when they start to spiral. The fake indifference starts to crack. They lose sleep, obsess over your social media, spin up paranoid fantasies that you're with someone else, trying to hurt them. But what they truly fear is this, that you've outgrown them, that you no longer need them to feel worthy, that you've chosen you, and they can no longer define who you are. This stage of denial can last days, weeks, or longer, depending on how much control they once had over you. But make no mistake, it won't last forever, because when you still don't come back, when you say nothing, when you refuse to fold, they're forced to face the truth. And that's when they enter the next stage, panic and emotional chaos. But before we get there, remember this, your silence is not weakness, it's the first cut into their mask. And with every day you hold your ground, you take your power back, while they lose the supply they thought they owned forever. Stick around for the next part, where we expose the unraveling chaos that follows. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because this is more than a video. This is your blueprint to emotional freedom. 2. Stage 2. Panic and emotional chaos, when the ego begins to collapse, when you remain silent, when you don't look back, when denial is no longer enough to protect their fragile ego. That's when panic sets in. This is the moment when the calm mask begins to crack and the narcissist descends into internal chaos. This is no longer a power game. This is a full-blown crisis. Because in the narcissist's mind, losing their supply means losing control, and control is everything to them. They start frantically looking for signs of you. They text non-stop, "Where are you?" They call obsessively, "Why are you doing this to me?" They might show up at your home, reconnect with old friends, all in an attempt to find out if you still belong to them. And when they get no answer, they begin to unravel. Some spiral in silence. Others lash out in public displays of confusion. Many start slipping into paranoia, constructing entire stories in their mind. She's definitely seeing someone new. He's trying to punish me. This is revenge, I know it. Their emotions are spiraling. And you, the one they once saw as dependent or weak, are now the one holding power without even trying. That loss of control drives them further into emotional chaos. But this panic isn't about missing a partner, it's about the collapse of identity. Narcissists don't love the way healthy people do. They need you to feel important. They need you to sustain the illusion that they are desirable, worthy, and superior. So when you withdraw, when you stop reacting, when you stop begging, they feel like they're suffocating. It's the emptiness they've been avoiding their entire life. At this stage, they'll try anything to pull you back. False promises of change. I swear I'll go to therapy. Playing the victim, I can't live without you. Nostalgia bombs. Remember our trip to the mountains? It was magical, but none of this is about love. It's about the fear of being left behind. And when none of it works, when your silence holds, rage begins to boil. But that's the next stage. For now, you're witnessing someone who's screaming without sound, desperate to regain the power they're losing inch by inch. They can't stand being invisible, because to them, if you're no longer reacting, if you're no longer in pain, they've lost. But you're different now. You're silent not because you're weak, but because you've grown too strong to explain yourself. And that silence is the very weapon that's plunging them into panic. 3. Stage 3. Emotional attacks. When the narcissist turns your pain into a weapon, when panic fails to bring you back, when their desperate messages go unanswered and your silence becomes a wall they can't penetrate, the narcissist shifts tactics. This is no longer begging. This is emotional warfare. Now they strike where it hurts the most, not physically, but emotionally. They remember what broke your heart. They remember your deepest fears. And now, they'll use all of that against you. You'll hear things like, "How could you abandon me like everyone else? I shared my darkest secrets with you, and now you leave? You were the only one who understood me, and now you turn your back?" None of this comes from love. It comes from a darker place, a place where your compassion is their weapon, your guilt is their grip, and your empathy becomes a leash. They know you care. They know you used to feel sorry for them, have tried to develop a hospice for debilitated dogs. They know you once believed you were the only one who could help them, and now they cling to that, triggering guilt, activating your inner savior, not because they need healing, but because they need to control you again. At this stage, they may fabricate emotional tragedies to gain sympathy, threaten to end their life if you don't respond, pretend to be sick, lost, or mentally unstable. Sometimes it's a twisted blend of affection and blame. "You're the reason I can't be happy. I changed for you, and you left. You said you loved me, and you abandoned me when I needed you most." These words are dangerous, because they're aimed directly at your softest spots, your kindness, your hope, your memories. And if you're not grounded in your truth, you might start to question yourself. Am I being too cold? What if he really is in pain? Am I walking away from someone who truly needs me? Don't remember why you left. You didn't leave out of cruelty. You left because you were being hurt. You left because the promises never turned into actions. This stage of emotional attack is often a final turning point. If you give in and return, the abuse cycle restarts, more intense, more manipulative, because now they know you can be pulled back through guilt. But if you hold the line, if you stay silent, choose yourself and stand firm, the narcissist's victim mask begins to fall, and they step into the next stage: rage, revenge, and obsessive escalation. 4. Stage 4. The rage. When you're no longer controllable, they become dangerous. When everything else fails, the begging, the guilt-tripping, the emotional breakdowns, and you still don't come back, the narcissist erupts in rage. But this isn't ordinary anger. This is a volcanic fury born from the loss of control, from a wounded ego, and from the brutal realization that they can no longer manipulate you. This is when the mask falls off completely, and you finally see what's behind the charm, the intelligence, the fake vulnerability, a mind screaming over the collapse of its emotional supply. They begin to blame you for being cold, ungrateful, cruel, spread rumors. She's been cheating all along. He never really loved me. Smear your name online, turn mutual friends against you, and even manipulate family members to isolate you. This is no longer subtle manipulation. This is war, and you're now the enemy, not because you hurt them, but because you had the courage to walk away. This rage can escalate quickly, sometimes to mental and physical harassment. Some narcissists begin stalking, obsessively watching, showing up at your home or workplace. Why? Because your independent existence threatens their entire psychological construct. But remember this, they're not angry because they love you. They're angry because they lost control over you. They can't stand the fact that they're no longer the center of your universe. And the most painful part for them? Not losing you, but watching you thrive without them. Peaceful, strong, untouchable. At this stage, they'll do anything to provoke a reaction. They don't care if it's love, hate, or fear, as long as you respond, because to them, a reaction equals control. If you scream back, cry, or explain, they win. But if you stay silent, stand strong, and keep moving forward, they lose. And that's the kind of loss their ego can never forgive. This is the stage where you must be extremely cautious. Don't let guilt, fear, or anger pull you back into their game. This is your time to fortify your boundaries, cut off all contact, and protect your peace at all costs. The narcissist's rage may be loud, messy, and terrifying, but your silence is louder because it says, "I'm no longer playing." In the next part, we'll dive into the stage of obsession when the narcissist starts stalking, tracking, and doing everything in their power to reclaim control. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the most critical phase of your journey, the one where true freedom begins. 5. Stage 5. Obsession. When you become the addiction they can't let go of. After the explosion of rage, after the assaults on your name, your emotions, and your self-worth, if you still don't respond, don't break, and don't come back, the narcissist enters a darker, quieter, but even more dangerous stage. Obsession. This is no longer emotional outburst. This is a silent, simmering obsession. You've become what they can't have. And to a narcissist, the unattainable is irresistible. They don't want you back to love you, they want to reclaim you, like an object they once owned. And that mindset turns you from a former lover into a target of fixation. At this stage, they might monitor your social media constantly, create fake accounts to stalk or comment anonymously, send indirect messages through friends or family, show up accidentally in places you frequent. If you've moved on or look happy, they'll burn inside, silently. No more love bombing, no more desperate text. Now it's quiet madness, the kind that watches, waits and plots, not because they care, but because they can't control you anymore. Their mind starts racing. How is she happy without me? Where wasn't he broken like I expected? What can I do to make them remember me at any cost? And here's the danger. They may begin covert manipulation through mutual friends, through random accidental mentions, through pretending to just want to be friends as a way back in. They don't accept defeat, because to them you lost by walking away. And if you left and didn't fall apart? If you left and found peace, they lost. So don't assume that silence equals surrender. To a narcissist, the quieter you become, the more obsessed they get. Not because you're special to them, but because you are the proof of their failure. 6. Stage 6. The new supply. When they use someone else to reopen your wounds. When obsession fails to regain control, the narcissist pulls their final card, the new supply. But don't be fooled. They didn't find true love. They haven't moved on. They didn't meet someone better. The real target is still you, and the pain they hope you'll feel when you see them with someone else. This stage is a performance, a carefully staged act meant to make you question yourself, feel replaced, feel inadequate. They'll post romantic photos, sweet captions, subtle digs, things like, "For the first time, I feel like I can be myself." The best things happen when you finally let go of the past. The right person will never leave you, but the truth, it's a psychological weapon, crafted to hit you where it still hurts. Irritating. It's a disguised form of hoovering. No texts, no calls, but they're still baiting you, hoping you'll see, react, or even come crawling back. They want you to wonder, what does this new person have that I didn't? Was I the problem? Was I really that hard to love? But you need to understand, they don't love the new person, they're using them as a tool. And that person, no matter how beautiful, successful, or sweet, is simply standing where you once stood, the next victim in the same cycle of abuse. This stage is dangerous for you. If you're still wounded, if your healing isn't complete, you're vulnerable. You might text them, you might feel jealous, you might spiral into self-doubt, even want to win them back. And if you do, they win, not because they love you, but because they've regained the power to affect you emotionally. But if you stay grounded, if you don't respond, don't watch, don't care, then you've won something far greater. You've rejected the script they keep rewriting. The new supply isn't your replacement. They're just a repeat of the same storyline. And if you're strong enough not to re-enter that cycle, you've broken what others spend a lifetime trying to escape. 7. Stage 7. The silent collapse, when they realize you're gone for good. No more texts, no more reactions, no more chances. The narcissist is finally forced to face the one thing they've spent their entire life avoiding. You're really gone. For good. And when that truth becomes undeniable, they don't explode. They implode. A silent collapse begins. An emptiness they can't fill. A quiet panic that cuts deep into the core of their distorted ego. This is the moment they begin to feel the true consequences of their actions, but not in the way you may hope. They don't wake up. They don't apologize. They don't take accountability. Instead, they feel wounded by failure. Not by losing you, but by losing control. Ashamed that you didn't break like they expected. Angry at themselves, but unable to process it, so they project it onto others. Empty because the supply is gone, and the new one can't fill the void. They may begin to rewrite the story, telling others you were the toxic one. They might smear your name to protect their own image, but that's just camouflage, to hide the deeper truth. You're the one person they couldn't regain control over. A narcissist will never admit you were stronger than them, but deep down, they know, and that awareness cuts deeper than any rage or shame ever could. They might try to come back, months or even years later, posing as a changed person, someone who regrets everything, someone who wants a second chance. But you'll know, words can change, patterns don't. And in that moment, you'll realize you didn't just survive. You woke up. You broke the addiction. You're no longer the person who once clung to fake love, empty promises, or manipulated affection. You are someone who doesn't need to be loved to feel worthy. You are someone who is whole from the inside out. This final stage is not about the narcissist. It's about you. It's liberation. It's the moment you stop fighting to be understood and accept that you never needed validation from someone incapable of love. Walking away from a narcissist isn't just leaving a relationship, it's walking away from an old version of yourself. The version who once believed that love required suffering, the version who thought if you just tried a little harder, stayed a little longer, forgave one more time they would finally change. But the truth is, real love never demands the destruction of who you are. Throughout this journey, you've seen the narcissist's 7 psychological stages when you leave, from denial and panic to emotional manipulation, rage, obsession, triangulation with a new supply, and finally, a silent collapse. Each phase was designed to pull you back in, to keep you trapped in their cycle of abuse, erosion, and control. But you endured, you didn't react, you didn't explain, you didn't collapse. And that is what made you the greatest failure of their life. But the greatest triumph of your own, what did you reclaim when you walked away? First, you reclaimed your voice. In a relationship with a narcissist, your words were twisted, your boundaries ignored, your emotions dismissed. Now you've learned how to say no without apology, how to speak without fear. You reclaimed your worth. You no longer let someone else define you. You stopped chasing validation from someone who never truly saw you. Now, you know this, your worth is not measured by how lovable you are to them. It's measured by how deeply you love yourself. You reclaimed your peace. No more late-night arguments, no more emotional landmines, no more walking on eggshells, not knowing which version of them you'd meet today. But perhaps most importantly, you reclaimed your future. You are no longer stuck in a loop. You are free to dream again, to believe again, to hope for love that doesn't hurt, demand or destroy. What made you truly powerful? Not just that you walked away, but that you didn't go back. You stood in front of your deepest fears, the fear of loneliness, the fear no one else will love you, the fear they might change after you leave. And you said, I choose me. That moment, when you stop needing to be loved to feel worthy, that's the moment you truly came home to yourself. You don't need to be perfect to be enough. You don't need to be silent to keep the peace. You don't need to keep forgiving to prove your loyalty. You are enough, even with your flaws. You're deserving, even if they couldn't see it. And what about them? The narcissist may continue their cycle with someone new. They may act happy, post pictures, rewrite history, tell everyone you were the problem. But deep down, they know they lost the one person who saw through them and still had the courage to walk away. They won't admit you were stronger, but they feel it, hiding in the silence, in the fact that you're no longer reacting, no longer playing. They'll try to come back, someday, pretending to be changed, regretful, enlightened. But you'll see the truth. Words evolve, patterns don't. And when you realize that, you'll know you didn't just survive. You woke up, you broke the emotional addiction, you reclaimed your life. You no longer seek validation from someone who never knew how to love, because now you love yourself enough to never settle for less again. This final stage, it isn't about them. It's about you, your freedom, and your clarity, your new beginning. You're not the victim anymore. You're not a survivor anymore. You are the author of a new story. You're not the supporting character in someone else's drama. You're the lead in your own life. And most importantly, you no longer belong to that pain.